since Russia invaded Ukraine. President Biden is in Europe right now to talk about next steps with world leaders. The Biden administration is revealing new plans, including additional military support for Ukraine, sanctions on 400 Russians, and letting 100,000 refugees into the U.S. NATO leaders promise to double their military presence in member nations near Ukraine. They will also send more defensive forces as concerns continue over Russia using chemical weapons.
NATO has never been more united than it is today. Putin is getting exactly the opposite what he intended.
The president is reinforcing he believes Putin has committed war crimes, and he supports kicking Russia out of the G20 group of nations. A woman right here in Colorado Springs is hoping her family members will be part of those refugees who make it here to the U.S. News 5's Natalie Chuck is joining us now live in the studio. She spoke with one Ukrainian woman here who says the last month has been horrific. Natalie.
Yeah, Diane, I first introduced you to Victoria Nivella back on January 28th, just less than a month before Russia officially invaded Ukraine. As the war there continues taking lives, Nivella spends every night and day here, praying it will be over soon.
How many people have to die? How many more?
Victoria Nivella sits on her couch with sunflowers just over her shoulder, a symbol of her home country, Ukraine.
Life became before war, and hopefully very soon after war.
You might recognize her living room. It's the same place we sat over a month ago, before Russia invaded Ukraine.
I always ask myself, how come this one person can decide future of our children?
Physically, Nivella is here, but her heart is with her family in Europe. Since Russia's invasion, her sister, nieces, and their children have made it to Poland. Her dad is still hiding in basements in Kyiv. He left the U.S. when the war broke out to be with the rest of their family. Since he has been there, his green card came to Nivella's house in the mail.
When I talked to him, he ducked his head, like, can you hear? Can you hear? Explosions.
Nivella is trying to get her dad back to America, but first, he has to make it to Poland. But for her sister, the decision to leave Europe is not so black and white.
It's a tough decision for her to say, yes, I'm coming. She says, honestly, I want to go home.
But right now, experts say the future of what was once her sister's home in Kyiv is unknown.
We don't know what kind of conversations the Russians are having about how this is gone and what are we really going to do. Because it's not as if Putin has inexhaustible resources and can just keep throwing money and troops at this thing. There is a limited amount here.
While Nivella waits for the war to end, she'll watch the Ukrainian flags in her yard wave in the wind.
I am very proud to say I'm Ukrainian.
A constant reminder that her loved ones are always with her in spirit. Right now, Nivella's brother-in-law is in Ukraine fighting in the army. She says she's going to keep me updated on whether or not she is able to get her dad back here to Colorado Springs. Eric?
Natalie, thank you. After months of discussion, state lawmakers